The town of Berlin. Country charm at the center of Connecticut.
Calling our town meeting to order. We'll open the meeting now, and we will have an election of a monitor.
Yes, you're going to accept nominations.
Nominations.
For the selection of a moderator.
A moderator, I'm sorry. Monitor, moderator. Yes, nominations? I nominate Mark. Thank you. Any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So, eligibility to vote, any person who is an elector of such town or any citizen of the United States of the age of 18 years or more who jointly or severally who is liable to the town for taxes assessed against him or her on an assessment of not less than $1,000 on the last completed grand list of such town. Reference Connecticut General Statute, Section 7-6. Legal notice. Okay.
A special meeting of the electors and citizens qualified to vote in town meetings of the town of Berlin will be held at the Berlin Town Hall, Council Chambers, 240 Kensington Road, Berlin, Connecticut, on Tuesday, March 5th, 2019, at 6:45 p.m. for the following purpose: to obtain approval for the transfer of $221,165 from Griswold Relocatable Classroom Fund to the Police Station Construction Fund to cover the cost to renovate jail cells at the Police Department, dated at Berlin, Connecticut, this 21st day of February, 2019.
Thank you. So now we have a resolution. Is there a resolution to come before?
No, it's okay.
Sure, I resolve that appropriation as requested by the town manager in accordance with section 7-10 of the Berlin Town Charter of $221,165 from Griswold Relocatable Classroom Fund to the Police Station Construction Fund to cover the cost to renovate jail cells at the Police Department.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. And so we have a discussion. Is there any discussion on the, actually I should have discussion first. I'm sorry. We'll take that vote back. Sorry about that. So let's have some discussion. Is there discussion about this resolution that is before us? Anyone in its, audience, counselors? I hear no discussion. So now we will move to vote on the resolution as read. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Resolution is passed, and the meeting is now adjourned at 6:54, I guess. Thank you. Call this town council meeting to order. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilor Angelica Stetson,
Here.
Councilor Giannoni, Mayor Kaczynski,
Here.
Councilor Letty.
Here.
Councilor Paviero,
Here.
Councilor Payanessa.
Here.
Councilor Russell.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Okay, first up we have our audience of citizens, so if anyone wishes to speak to us tonight, now would be your time.
Signed up, Mayor.
We have one sign up, yes. Carol Zesk. So if you could welcome you, and got to stand up at the podium. Yeah, we have to just get your name and address, if you would, please, for the record.
My name is Carol Zesk. I live at 246 Stockings Brook Road, and I am here to voice a complaint against the snow plowing in the town of Berlin. And I have some pictures, if I can.
Yes, absolutely, please.
I apologize. I don't have enough sets for everyone.
That's all right, I'll pass these down.
This is the most current storm.
Okay. Charlie? I think those are those are the same as these others. I looked at them at the beginning, so.
My husband and I, our family have resided in the town of Berlin all our lives. We're fortunate enough to live on Stockings Brook Road at the end of a cul-de-sac. And with every snowstorm, I need to try and get in touch with somebody of higher authority to have the plow trucks come back out and unplow the cul-de-sac, or plow the cul-de-sac, excuse me. You can see by some of the pictures that they leave large amounts of snow at the foot of the driveway. This past storm, I can appreciate we had a lot of snow. But we had 15 to 20 feet between the end of our driveway and usable road on Stockings Brook. They left that much snow. And this was, I had to leave for work at 9 o'clock. They had come through and plowed our street at approximately, I want to say it was around 4 to 4:30. And at 8:30 a.m., I was calling the non-emergency number at the police department and asked them to get in touch with the truck and have them come down so that I could leave for work in an hour. And it happens every storm.
So they don't clear they're not clearing the whole
They
cul-de-sac?
make one path,
Oh, one path, okay.
one path.
But the other driveways are stuck? Or plowed?
Our driveway is the worst.
Yeah.
We are at the end of the cul-de-sac, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
But they have sent trucks down that know how to plow, and they take care of the job. It seems to be whatever contractor or subcontractor that comes down to the cul-de-sac, makes the one pass, and he's done.
Yeah, because, I mean, I live on a cul-de-sac too, so I think normally what seems to happen on my street, similar to you, like the regular plow truck, the big town truck will come and make a pass, and then, you're right, sometimes they'll come again and clean it a little more, but then there will be like a contractor that will come down later and clean it up.
Right.
But understandable, maybe not early enough for you to get out of there.
Well, and it's been different time frames, if you will. I try to be a little understanding. I know Berlin has a lot of streets, and there are a lot of people that need to get plowed out to get to work.
Right.
But about 3 years ago, almost to the day, I was released from the hospital after life-saving surgery and could not get in my driveway. And had to go to a neighbor's house to wait for a truck to come and plow the 12 to 15, even 20 feet so that I could even get to my driveway.
Right.
I've been before town council before with the same complaint.
Okay.
Not recently, I would say within the past 4 years. It doesn't get any better. I don't know what it's going to take. We pay a lot of money to have these contractors come in to help the town plows. And they need to start doing a better job.
So does the first pass not even get up to your driveways? Is
Nowhere
that
near.
okay?
We have not gotten mail deliveries because we can't move the heavy snow in front of our
Yeah, no. I know
mailbox.
it's heavy.
which one pass with the plow and it should take care of it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to call,
No. Well.
find a truck.
Yeah. I mean, I've had to call a couple times myself, but so I certainly understand your problem, but typically the first pass, at least on.
What you do is you come in and you punch out a straight line just so there's fire and ambulance protection, things like that.
Yeah.
And I reviewed the pictures with Mrs. S. and we've talked about it. What they should be doing is coming back and then you clean up the cul-de-sac at a later time. What my understanding is that either they're not coming back timely or they're not coming back at all.
Right.
And so subsequent, we did speak earlier in the week about it, and I think I did talk to you about it, Mayor, and Mike and I have talked about it, and we are going to make sure the contractor comes back, and we are going to address this. Cul-de-sacs, we do tend to get some complaints. One, either it's unusual we get this particular complaint. Normally what we get is the contractor comes in, spins around, and it's like the one that you called me with one time, and they end up packing the snow somewhere. And if you're the unfortunate recipient, you get a lot of snow. They're supposed to try to distribute it around. So, but we have talked about this, Mike and I, and if we do get another storm, I'm confident that it's not going to happen again. But we have talked about it.
So, yeah, we appreciate you telling us that, and, I mean, difficult to hit everybody at the same time, you know.
Right, I
but-
appreciate, we're
but-
not the only cul-de-sac in
No,
the
I
town.
know. But it should be cleared in a timely fashion. We do try
That's all
and,
I'm asking.
yeah, we kind of take pride in that, of our streets being
I don't expect a
clear.
town truck to be parked at the end of Stockings Brook.
But let us know if it doesn't.
I will,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll hopefully take care of that for you
Okay.
now.
thank you. I do appreciate your time.
We're sorry.
Thank you.
for
Thanks.
this. We're
Yeah.
sorry for this. Shouldn't be happening.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, anyone else? So we're still in a public hearing, our audience of citizens, we weren't in a public hearing. Anyone else wishes to address the council? Hearing none, seeing no one, I will close the audience of citizens. We'll move on to our meeting agenda, and we'll start with our consent agenda, which encompasses 6 items. We have all reviewed these items, and if everybody's comfortable, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda items as presented tonight.
Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved? Thanks. Okay, we'll move on now to our, we have a public hearing tonight. So I held tonight, February 5th.
March 5th.
I'm sorry, March 5th. Boy, I'm really off tonight, huh? Okay, it's a long day at work today. March 5th, 2019, I hereby convene the public hearing for the fire radio appropriation and bond ordinance. The ordinance, which is the subject of this public hearing, is available to the public and may be or obtained at this meeting from the town clerk. So is there a motion and a second to read the title of the following proposed ordinance and to waive the reading of the remainder of the ordinance, incorporating its full text into the minutes of this meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, so moved. So that motion passes, and we could read the ordinance. Ordinance appropriating $1,444,000 for the fire improvements 2019, and authorizing the issue of $1,444,000 bonds of the town to meet said appropriation, and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose. So this is a public hearing, so now would be the time for comments from the public. It's a very large public audience tonight, so we'll see if
Nobody
anyone
left.
wishes to speak. I don't see anyone rushing up from the audience to speak. Just they can all settle down now, the large public audience we have. So we'll go ahead and close the public comment section. And any comments from commissioners or councilors?
No.
Hearing none, I will call the public hearing on the fire radio bond ordinance closed. Thank you very much. And now we are on our town council will now consider and take action with respect to the fire radio appropriation and bond ordinance. Copy of the ordinance is available from the town clerk. So typically, we have a choice to waive Rule 7, which means that we could vote tonight, or we could typically like to wait 2 weeks. I mean, as long as this doesn't, I think we checked with Mr. Simons, and I know typically we've tried to keep it open a couple weeks if there is any comments from anyone, since it was a public hearing, and that will not, if we do that, it will not affect anything. Okay, so take a motion to waive Rule 7. You want to waive it, or I mean, I would wait, but I guess we'll have to vote on the motion, right? If you want to take a motion to waive, or what if we want to wait?
Just wanna wait.
Let it go.
Just think no
have it.
action.
All right,
Just talk about it. No motions.
all right. So we're just
Move it to
so
the next meeting.
right. So we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting, and we can vote on the ordinance. We'll see if there's any public comments in the next 2 weeks. All right. All right. Thank you very much. All right. So on to our regular meeting agenda, new business.
Okay, we're going to skip number 1, since it was the appropriation for the ordinance. Agenda item number 2 is to approve a transfer of, excuse me. is to award, we can't, can we award?
We're doing the transfer first, and that was what the town meeting was earlier. So now the
Okay.
council-
Okay. This is for the bid award for the renovations of the Berlin Police Department jail cells. Doug Solik is here to discuss the actions required. It includes transferring the money and awarding the bid.
Good evening, hello.
Hey, Doug, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
How's it going?
So we're here a year later.
Yes, we're here. Finally,
A
we're
little
here.
longer than we had hoped for, but,
Yes.
you know, there was a process for both our municipality as well as the other one that we're hoping to go in with, so we're to the point now where we can award the bid and the contract and get things moving, so hopefully, if all goes well, we'll have, you know, by the fall, late summer, fall timeframe, depending on how things go, we should be substantially complete.
Great. That's good. You know, the only, I mean, I know we're a ways off from whatever we do with the police station, and I know this is something that we've worked on, and I know we've entered into this agreement with other towns too to get a better deal, right, from the contractor, so that's all good. So I just hope that, and I'm sure we will, make sure as we proceed with the police station, I know the next step is to get some more design plans, you know, as we have to appropriate some money to do that. But whatever we do, I you know, as long as we can either design around this if we ultimately renovate downstairs, so we don't want to do this
We
twice.
hope to not, yeah, exactly. Hope to not do it twice and move them twice, but I believe the option is there if we needed to as a last resort.
Yeah.
They are relocatable.
Because it's mainly the doors, right, is the biggest thing about them?
Yes.
Okay. And there's some HVAC work too, right?
Yeah, this project includes some ventilation, electrical, plumbing, the detention cell doors,
Okay.
lighting, a lot of upgrades, so.
Okay.
And the thought would be to continue on with the other projects once this is complete.
Yeah, and
The doors, though, you need to do the HVAC because it will change the air quality in there. So it's not like you could do the doors and not do the HVAC.
right. No, that's yeah, we understand because it's going to have the
Yeah.
plexiglass.
And so that's not an insignificant part of this, so.
Right.
The timing has been a little back and forth with our town and as well as Orange, so we're hoping that we can still mobilize together, but the contractor is still willing to start our project beforehand, or
Oh, great.
if we can't do in conjunction with it, there could be a small additional fee to mobilize, you know, sooner.
Orange even started theirs?
They're close. They're still working out some funding, from what I'm being told. Just some additional funding approvals. But so if we're certainly able to wait if we want to wait and do it all together. But if we wanted to get a jump on this immediately, then the
Their
contract
project comparable to ours?
similar, but a little bit bigger in scope as far as the quantity and what's involved.
Doug had sent a schedule revision, I don't know, about 2:30 or 3 o'clock this afternoon. I did forward that to each of the counselors today, so you have an update. You did get Doug's email on the schedule for the jail cells. You should have that in your email, about 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock today.
Gives us a timeline moving forward and how we got to where we are to date. So just for planning purposes for the police and all of us.
I have a question, technical question, Kate. You know, I abstained from this the first time, so I could read the first motion but not the second one? Because I'm probably going to abstain from that too. Because I do work with both those companies and I think it would.
Yeah, you could approve the cost of the transfer,
Yeah,
you know, or the transfer, yes.
okay.
Okay, well, it's good we're getting started, and right, we hope, I know it's not part of this motion, but we hope to move to another little piece of the PD there after.
Hopefully some locker rooms maybe and some
Yeah.
additional office modifications.
Okay. All right, that's great. So I'm glad we're finally here. It's been a long time in coming, but I know we've all had to work hard with it. I know we were tied up with trying to combine with the other PDs to get a better deal from the contractor. So All right, so we'll take a motion.
Okay, first one, I move to approve the transfer of $221,165 from the Griswold Relocatable Classroom Fund to the Police Station Construction Fund to cover the cost to renovate jail cells at the police department.
Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. Second motion.
Charlie.
Charlie?
Move to award bid number 2019-8 to RFJ Associates LLC, DBA Tomless Hawley Patterson of Trumbull, Connecticut, and authorize the town manager, Jack Healy, to sign Exhibit A and amend the contract with Misbar Construction of Milford, Connecticut, for a new contract amount of $251,165, which includes design, engineering fees, subcontractor costs, including THP, and all contingencies for the cell block renovations of Berlin Police Department.
Thank you. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
Carries. One abstention, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Agenda item number 3 is a request to renew the annual fee for the online 365 licenses from BlackRock Technology. We have moved from having the all of our technology on site. We're going into the cloud, and we've updated to using Office 365. By doing that, it has saved us some money. It allows us much more flexibility. It's part of the business continuity plan to ensure better, if something was to occur, we have better access to our records and better storage. This bid is through the CROG, and so therefore we're asking for the renewal fee for this year in the amount of $15,795. Unfortunately, Barbara can't be here tonight, so I'm stepping in for her.
Okay, thanks. Okay, take a motion. Have a discussion.
Okay, move to renew the annual fee for Exchange Online 365 licenses with BlackRock Technology for an amount not to exceed $15,795 based on the current number of mailboxes.
Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, discussion?
Y'all use this, right?
Yeah,
Started to be introduced.
it's been. I think it's been a good change. We're able to move documents around better between the departments, and also allow some people when they to be able to access their documents from home. If they want to work at home or something, they can get to their documents easier.
Okay.
Great. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 4?
Agenda item number 4 is to authorize the town manager to sign a license agreement for Sage Park Building. Various youth groups do use the building. I believe that what they were doing is that the Berlin Youth Lacrosse Association wants to be able to have access to the building. We're expanding the groups that are allowed to use the building. Jenna Cho is here to discuss the request.
Not as tall as Doug.
Hey, Jen.
Hello. So this agreement's actually been in place since 2013. I don't think it ever went to council in the past, but we've decided Berlin Youth Football and Berlin Youth Soccer have been using that building for a number of years for both equipment storage as well as meeting space. Berlin Youth Lacrosse reached out to us to use it for meeting space and also a place to keep their goals during the season. And we thought we'd open up the contract and extend it, and now we have a two-season contract with all 3 youth groups. Myself and Steve Wood met at the youth building to make sure everyone understood where their specific equipment areas were. All 3 youth groups are working together to share the space. No one will schedule a meeting day on the same day, everything like that. They're all working cohesively together. I did send the contract, license agreement, whatever you want to call it, to Corporation Counsel. He did look at it, make some suggestions. I took all those suggestions, incorporated them in, so it has been looked at from a legal standpoint.
Great.
Is this the newer building out front or the main complex in the back by the football?
Main complex,
Okay.
that's where the concession and the bathrooms are.
Okay. That's good. So they'll have access to the bathrooms.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like I said, youth football and youth soccer has had it for a number of years. It's kind of what the building was purposed for. as well as the locker room, so.
So that front building is just equipment storage, right? That green?
Yeah.
new building?
Keep their snowplows there once the season's over and take out their spring equipment.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Jen? Hearing none, we'll take a motion.
Okay, I move to authorize the town manager to sign the license agreement for the Sage Park building, allowing Berlin Youth Football League, the Berlin Youth Soccer Association, and the Berlin Youth Lacrosse Association continued use of the building.
Second on that.
Second.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Agenda item number 5 is to reauthorize the town manager to sign the Senior Community Center grant agreement. By way of, you have to approve a resolution so that I can sign the contract. If you remember, you had approved this previously. There was some wording in the contract that the town, and along with Attorney D'Onofrio, did not agree to. So there was conversations back and forth. Jim Mahoney and Jeff talked with them. We were able to work out the details of the contract, and so therefore we're ready to sign it and to start working on this project.
Just out of curiosity, what was the substance of the agreement that you didn't agree to?
The document that they use is a template created by the Attorney General's office, and there were a couple of provisions in there that were so broad that a reasonable interpretation would be that they imposed obligations on the town beyond the project. For example, there was a provision that could have potentially impacted the town's hiring, and so we needed to have a conversation with the department and get a written confirmation that our interpretation was correct. And just some boilerplate
Right, got it.
provisions that when you talk to people in a bureaucratic setting,
Sure.
they agree they don't have any pertinence to what you're doing, but they're reluctant to change the document.
Right.
It's
Yeah, because it's
requires an
a
act of
document.
Congress or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
Make it
I get
happen.
it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll take a motion.
Okay, I move to adopt the attached resolution to update the authorization for the town manager to submit a grant application and enter into necessary agreements and documents to secure the grant or amendments thereto regarding a $750,000 grant for the planning and design of a senior and community center, subject to the review and approval of Corporation Council.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And by the way, we had a meeting with Joe Arasimowitz last week, just mainly about the budget with Jack and Kevin, and we did talk a little bit about the community center, so we talked about, what we're doing, and, he was happy with what we're moving forward with, and we all kind of got on the same page, I think, what we're all looking for here in Berlin, so we'll, it's good we're moving forward with this, so. Well, good, so far. Number 6.
Okay, agenda item number 6 is to discuss an 8-24 review for the Town Farm Lane and Material Drive. We're looking for a partial abandonment of a section of the right-of-way there. At one point, the Town Farm Lane had gone in a different direction. There's a section of that road which was it was no longer used. It was never abandoned. So therefore, we need to abandon the road at this point so that we can continue on with a project that we're working on and it's been funded for the complex down there. Mike Ahern is here to discuss any of the details.
I think you did a pretty good job, Jack. But anyway, what I'll do is I enlarged the map that you might have received in your packages. So what's happening here is that this is the the physical services complex. What we're doing is going to be redesigning and reconfiguring the transfer station area here. The Town Farm Lane used to go straight through what's now the corner of the property. So the property line of this lot is actually here, and this intersection was reconfigured in the 1990s. What we want to do is, so that we have room for zoning requirements and setbacks, is to actually establish a new street line match the site configuration and the usage and the intersection. So this shaded area will in effect be added to the lot. It's about 0.42 acres. And then that will give us more room to reconfigure the transfer station, and we're going to meet some solid waste regulations and also stormwater regulations that the state has. So we need a Section 824 review by the Planning and Zoning Commission because this is considered a municipal improvement.
Is that where the plow is?
The plow's actually, I think, outside. But this is just inside the entrance gate. The transfer station's on to the left as you come in.
Yeah.
Essentially, it actually is in that area.
Yeah,
But
okay.
this is all considered right-of-way, and it's really not needed for either Masirio or Town Farm Lane. It's just sort of a remnant of the reconfiguration. No one, essentially, it's going to be a little bookkeeping exercise to make the site match the right-of-way.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Mike. Any further questions? Hearing none, take a motion.
Okay, move to refer the matter of a partial abandonment of the Town Farm Lane, Masirio Drive, number 19, Town Farm Lane, to the Planning and Zoning Commission for 824 review, as per the Connecticut General Statutes.
Thank you. Have a second on that?
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Agenda item number 7, also from Mike. We went out for a construction equipment rental contract for the upcoming year, and Mike's here to discuss the results and to request approval of a list of bidders. Excuse me.
This really is meant to be like an on-call list of equipment we need when we don't have the particular equipment for a specific project. So the bids that were summarized in the bid tabulation in your packages were received from 4 contractors in February. These rates are valid through December 2020, so this would cover 2 construction seasons. The idea is to use the lowest rental rate depending on which contractor has that piece of equipment available at the time we need them. So it's not meant to have a one winner. We have a sort of a menu of options here depending on who's available, who's more cost effective at the time we need the rates. So we're requesting that the town manager be authorized to use these rental rates and purchase orders during the construction season as we need them, depending on their availability and their cost.
If I could just comment, during the process, one of the people who did bid had not bid in the past and actually was very disappointed with the town and some of its past practices on contracting. Spent an hour and a half with he and his wife one night listening to some of the past practices and issues that had gone on. And I think in some cases we probably had treated him rather poorly. As part of this, he was not going to bid, and through the conversation, because he said he goes, I can't provide the whole suite of equipment that you're requesting. And I told him, put in what you can, and if you're competitive, we'll obviously give you the opportunity to do some work. He did. And I think he will have an opportunity in the future to do some work for the town.
Okay.
This is one of the ones this evening?
Yeah,
Yes.
one of the ones that's on here.
Basil.
It's one of the ones that's on here. It was a good. It was an interesting conversation. It started off to be, I'd say, a little tense, and by the time we were done, it was. I think it was a constructive conversation.
Good. I'm glad we handle his concerns, yeah.
The gentleman you're speaking about, I think, is a local contractor,
Absolutely, he's a Berlin
resident. He's been
Yeah, Berlin.
a long resident. Good to get him involved.
Just technical question. These are based on 8 hours, I assume,
Yes.
between the hourly rate and the daily rate. We got,
Oh,
it's 90 hours and 680 for a daily rate. I
Oh.
assume that's an error.
Which one, Peter?
Fifth one down. If you're looking at this page here. Unless it's modern math, I don't know.
What do you say?
It's the backloader, rubber tired with
Yeah.
operators.
Yeah.
90 an hour should be 720 a day, or is it a discount?
I see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
The one above it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the one above it's 720.
Yeah.
I see that now.
You guys discounting it. We're
Yeah,
discounting
okay.
that one. Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it.
I just didn't want to lock us in, and
We'll talk with him to make sure that we confirm that that's a
okay.
that's a good pickup. We didn't pick up on that.
giving us a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Such a deal.
Maybe we should hold them to it.
Might have to lower the other prices then to match that one, right?
There you go.
Gotta live with it.
Okay, any other questions? If not, we'll take a motion.
Okay, move to authorize the town manager to utilize the attached bid results for the equipment rental contract number 2019-09 when issuing future purchase orders to one or more bidders, depending on the availability and which one results in the lowest cost to the town.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, agenda item number 8 is the bid, requesting a bid waiver for Coleman Farms, the leaf composting, and to waive the sealed bid requirements. Mike is here to discuss the request.
The curbside collection of leaves and grass clippings, began in 2004, and the town has been shipping the leaves and grass to Coleman Farms for disposal since that time. They've also had a tipping fee of $11 a ton since that time. They've never increased it. The tonnage has been about on an annual basis, about 875 tons until this fiscal year. The POs have all been below $10,000 until this year. Because of our very ridiculously wet year, the tonnage has increased above what we've seen previously. So we're projecting that we're probably going to have an additional 175 tons when we complete this spring season. So the PO is going to be over 10,000. I guess previous town managers and we've received administrative waivers from the sealed bid requirement in past years, but now that it's gone over 10,000, we're here requesting that waiver from the town council.
Okay, thanks. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, move to authorize the town manager to waive the sealed bid requirement in contracting with Coleman Farms of Middletown, Connecticut, to provide for the disposal of leaves and grass clippings in an amount not to exceed $13,000, as this is in the best interest of the town.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, so we'll go on to some appointments we have. We've got another list today, right? So what do we got first? We got the cemetery.
Something you want to do cemetery?
Hey, Kate, I got a question for you. So the Board of Ethics, but that last appointment we did was a regular member or an alternate?
An alternate member.
How-
Kevin Hines moved up from an alternate to a regular member.
Okay,
And then that was based upon the vacancy created by Councilor Payanessa.
okay.
And then Mr. Grady went on as an alternate member. So you have one more alternate position.
So the Board of Ethics is 3 regular members?
3 regular members, 2 alternates.
Oh, all right, okay. I for some reason thought that was a regular. I don't know.
I didn't remember appointing my replacement. Did he move up automatically?
Oh, that was
or
Hines
did
that
he
moved up,
report?
right?
Yeah. I believe that was the history. But anyway, Kevin has moved up as
Yeah,
a
okay.
regular member. And then that created 2 vacancies with the alternate.
With the alternates. Oh, okay.
I
Who's
think
the-
Charlie asked, no, he doesn't automatically moved up. It was an approved
There was a vote by the council.
vote by the council.
Yeah.
I had forgotten it, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Charlie, I didn't hear you.
That's okay. I was just confused. I hard to do.
I didn't hear until such time.
Okay, all right. Cemetery Commission? Take a nomination.
Okay, I'll nominate Richard Benson.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll close those nominations, and all those in favor of Mr. Benson?
Aye.
So moved. Congratulations. What's next? Conservation?
I will nominate Caroline Goldberger.
Okay, thank you. Any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll close nominations and vote on Ms. Goldberger. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Just one of the constables, if we could nominate.
I'm going to nominate John Kozak for the first constable position.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Hearing none. Close the nominations. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Economic development next. We have several people. Nomination.
I'm going to nominate Mr. Keith Bostrom. That's how you say that?
I think so. Spoke to him today, business owner in town, so seems like a good fit. Okay. Any other nominations? Hearing none. Close nominations. All those in favor, Mr. Bostrom's? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
That was an
We got a fun. Now we got a. So we
Housing,
have a.
we'll put
we got others
Santina
for there.
back on there.
Housing Authority.
Housing Authority.
Oh, Housing Authority.
Right there.
Yeah, Housing Authority.
Okay, I'll nominate Santina Turner. She wants to reapply.
Thank you very much. Any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations. All those in favor, Ms. Turner? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. And, so, no, yeah, that's, there's two people for planning and zoning. I spoke to one, and I think there's an alternate and a regular one, right? Okay, open, and there was another gentleman, but I just want to, I don't know who wants what, and I know one of them told me they didn't want the alternate or didn't want the regular. I don't have it straight, so before I put somebody on that doesn't want to be in a...
They can't make the meetings.
Yeah, or whatever, I just want to make sure before we do that. I didn't realize there was that other position, so if we could wait on those, I'll talk to those gentlemen. I don't remember which one wanted which, so, or if they want it, I don't even know. So, all right, so done with that. Go to the town manager report.
Okay, I've given you a written report. If you don't mind, I'd like to not start with number one. I'd like to just hit some of these that are quicker to do. Number 4, monthly, the council will receive copies of transfers and waivers. I believe that you received this electronically. Kate and I meet now before the agenda, pre-agenda meeting. We talk about things that we think should be on the agenda. We also talk about items that we feel the council has questions about during the meeting. Oftentimes, Peter, you'll ask about a transfer, and you'll want to say, well, how much have we transferred this year? We felt since the report is issued monthly by the town, that to bring it to your attention on a monthly basis, once it's issued at our first meeting of the month, we'll present that to you as a package. We're not going to talk about each month, but you'll have it in the package. So if you have a question, you'll know how much we've transferred during the year and what the fee waivers are. So we're doing that just so that helps you make decisions going forward. Charlie had asked me after the last meeting, discussed about, he has some concern about some road ownership. That being, is the town maintaining roads that the town doesn't own? So in response to Charlie's request, we have started to look into that. We have found a couple roads that we think that there's a question about, so we're going to go out, survey the roads, and what we may do is the next couple meetings, bring those forward to you if they meet the road criteria, and we have to look at the bonds and whatever was set up. I mean, many of these go back 20, 30, 40 years. So we're cleaning up some of the books is what we're doing. It's interesting that you brought this up at this point, Charlie. We were approached within the last week by a business in town who's on a private drive/road. For some reason, the town in the past has plowed the road. I don't know why. We're not supposed to be. But what his point is, he wants the town to take over this road/driveway. It doesn't meet any criteria that we have. We talked with him today at length. How we left it is he's going to go back and he's going to have the property surveyed and see if he can have a road fit. I told him if he can, we as a group, Mike Ahern, Jim Horrible, myself, and Mark Kozakowski met with him. We said if it works out such that the road meets the town criteria, we will bring it to the town. We will follow the process and bring it before the town council. If it doesn't, it may need some may need some, modifications by the planning and zoning, exceptions, if they will grant it. They may not, but we let him through the process. I'm not sure he was always happy with with the answers, but we have to follow the process that we have. So we did talk to him about that. We are entering into a contract negotiation with the golf pro and restaurant manager. The Golf Commission has recommended that the golf pro.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Contract be extended. We did negotiate this a few years ago. We are in what would be quote the final year. There is an opportunity for it to automatically be extended if certain financial goals were met. We're not sure that because of the wet year that they had last year that they'll make those goals. The golf business in Timberland was down last year primarily because the weather was bad. So we are entering into negotiation with the pro and with the restaurant. As part of that, we're talking about expanding. I did report to you last month into doing a Winterfest. As part of this negotiation, we are going to put some stipulations in there for their participation in a Winterfest, making the Timberland be more of a year-round venue as opposed to just a golf course. We're looking at putting in a skating rink for the winter, electronic golf for people during the winter to go up and things like that. And as part of that, Ramsey would be open and sell various types of food. Just so you know, as a reminder, the Health District has an open house tomorrow from 3 to 5:30. You're all invited to it. It's at their new location on Silas Dean Highway in Rocky Hill. Number 9, I did tell you, I did forward the jail cell schedule to you so that you can review that. We are waiting for the final appraisal on Farmington Avenue. Once we get the final appraisal report, we're going to forward it on to Bond Counsel and Attorney DiNofrio. We will talk about it, and we'll see how we'll proceed from after that. We began negotiation on the middle management union contract. We actually met today and started by exchanging negotiating points. We don't feel that there's a great difference between us and the middle management. And the only reason I bring that up is both of us last year we spent a lot of money with all the negotiations and different things on attorneys' contracts. Nothing personal. We just prefer not to, wasn't you, so you didn't get that. We would prefer not to have to incur those costs if we could work this out amongst ourselves. The Ordinance Committee met on Tuesday. I have given you a copy of the Ordinance Committee meeting minutes. I think it was my own opinion was that it was a productive meeting. There was a lot of good ideas and discussion had during that. Several items will be continued to be looked at, including potential leash requirements, with exceptions noted in certain areas. There was discussion about having certain parks be designated as areas where leash off. So we are looking at the wording for that. We are also we talked about the Golf Commission budget requirements. At this point, there was no move to change the ordinance as far as balancing their income and their revenue. The only thing is that we may modify the ordinance to include what the definition of capital is and how capital is expended up at the golf course. There was a very good report by Attorney Coppola regarding, it was titled Property Tax Relief for Older Adults. That discusses towns in the state of Connecticut. The Ordinance Committee felt that they wanted to review that prior to the next meeting and go through that. And the other thing that was of significance was the temporary sign. There was some discussion about not allowing any. I think that ultimately at the end we decided that what we would do is see if we could find some information similar to the one that we had for the seniors tax lien, so that we can get a better feel for what other towns are doing and make sure that what we do also is legal. We don't do anything that would put us at jeopardy. So, as part of that, I only request, would like to throw out some date. Is it possible that the Ordinance Committee would like to meet on Thursday, March 28th? And it's just I'm putting it out as a possibility, so we have it as a goal.
I'm coming back in town that day. If my flight's on time, I could make it, but I can't guarantee that.
I don't even, if
It'd be okay for me.
okay. What I'll do is I'll have Christie send you out a meeting notice, and if it works for you, just respond in the affirmative, and we'll schedule that.
All right, thanks.
The last thing, and item number 1 on the town manager report, the mayor, last night was the first Board of Finance meeting to discuss the budget for this year. The mayor said he wasn't sure if any of you were going to be able to make it. He said, could you just give us a brief update of what occurs during the meeting? I have, on your desk there is plenty of reading material. We did not go over all of that last night. In my report, you'll see I gave you the budget calendar. We've already met on the 4th. We're going to get meeting again tomorrow night, where we're going to have a summary, an operations discussion for both the Board of Education and the town government side. On March 11th, there's a budget workshop to discuss. There'll probably be some specific department reviews. I know one in particular is the VNA. So we will be discussing specific departments if there's any questions by the Board of Finance. They may move at that point, or they may wait till the 13th, but at that point, they'll vote to sit, they'll meet again. There's a town budget forum at the Senior Center on Tuesday, March 26th at 1:30. They're doing the same thing as the town council is. They're having one session up at the Senior Center for the seniors. That night, there's the town budget hearing at the Berlin High School at 7 p.m. And on the 27th, the Board of Finance will vote to send their proposed budget to the town council. The town council has 5 days per the charter to vote on the budget. I think we've gone back and forth. I think 5 days, my interpretation has been that's 5 business days. So, you would get to the following Tuesday, I believe, to meet and discuss that. After that, April 30th is the budget referendum. In your package, what we talked about last night is a section that looks like this. It's an overview. And it was just purely an overview. First page, it says, I don't think I can go through all the, as much detail as I went last night. But the total proposal at this point before the Board of Finance is a $94.2 million budget proposal. That is up $6.3 million from last year, or 7.1%. The town side of that is approximately $48 million, which is about up by $3,665,000. The Board of Eds is $46,178,000, up by $2,597,000. If that was to be adopted, it would be a mill increase of 2.72 mills. There are certain assumptions that are in there.
And again, just with it, so the town is 48 million, I'm sorry, so 48,
Yeah.
and up by how much?
$3.6 million. Remember now, a lot of that is fixed cost. We take all the bonding cost, all the financial cost on our side. That also includes the money that we've set aside for, like the security, if we do a security force, and also $565,000 for school security projects, which is part of a grant application that they've done.
And that was the Board of Ed was how much?
$46,178,000.
That's up 2.5. So.
0.5. This is all that information I just
Yeah,
gave
it's
you
in there.
is in
that.
is in this document.
Yeah.
It's in about the third page.
Third page, okay, great. Okay, thanks. Okay.
There's certain assumptions that we've made in here. At this point, we're not changing some of these assumptions. Right now, based on Governor Lamont's proposal, we feel we're about $301,000. He's included $301,000 more than we've included in our budget. We don't feel that we should lower it right now, or we should change our budget based on that, because we don't know where that budget's going to come out. But we also have included what we've been told we're going to pick up in the teachers' retirement system contribution of $134,000. We've also included that in here. We've assumed a flat grand list growth. We've assumed basically flat for this year. We don't have any information to the contrary at this point. If it's up, it's going to be up very little. But there are revaluations currently going on downstairs, and there's a revaluation losses that we are involved with. So the next chart, I've taught. Kevin's trying to give you here is how where the government operating how operation cost, the blue line is our general government operating, how much has gone up in percentage. If you notice, for several years it went down, it's gone up, proposed this year it goes up significantly, but in the past it's been down. In fact, last year I think we were down, or 2 years ago, we were down 1.5%. ECS is the yellow line. You'll notice that has overall had a negative growth over this time, minus 2.2%. The gray line there is the BOE operating. It has gone up over time about 3% over that time frame. And the interesting one is the long-term liabilities, which is the red line. And you can see that's gone up over time about 15.4%. Because of school project, road projects, bonding for Pistol Creek, bonding for the acquisition of the property down to police station, things like that. And Kevin he writes some conclusion. The town, everybody's suffering from low economic growth, decline in state grants. We're getting less and less state grants. Spending on the grand list growth, borrowing we've borrowed to fill the gap in some places, and also the underfunding of the defined benefits retirement plan. The next page, we give you a pie chart just to give you an idea of where the revenue comes from. And unfortunately, there's more and more reliance on taxes. As you can see, fees is about steady, gone down just a little. State education grants continue to go down a little. Other grants are staying steady. And use of fund balance, we're trying to drive that down. So the majority of the revenue used to support the town is coming by way of taxes. And if you couple that with the page before, when we talk about grand list growth, you'll see why it's not growing and it's not picking up the increased amount of taxes that we're spending. On the next page, it's just revenue continued. Just again, we're talking about some of our assumptions. We're showing that we're assuming the ECS is going to be $5,671,560, which is $301,000 more than we figured in our budget. So this may be favorable to us, but at this point we don't feel that we can change our assumptions. We're assuming also the municipal stabilization grant, which is in there to help. It's a hold harmless grant that was given a few years ago when Malloy made a change. Right now, it looks to be about $258,981. It's up about $10,000 from where it was last year. Next page is on revenue again. It's continued. It's just we're showing you the use of assigned fund balance. Our goal is to maintain at least 11% in the unassigned fund balance. We are currently at 13.1%. It's healthy. We did put money in this year to use in the budget for the current year. At this point, we think that we're going to actually come in with a surplus or under budget, and therefore we won't use any of the fund balance that was designated for this year, which allows us to maintain a 13.1% fund balance. That's healthy, and that's good. We're hoping when we get to Standard & Poor's this year, we're actually able to improve our bond rating. Our bond rating is very good, but we'd like to go up about one more notch. And then, okay, and that's Kevin's has shown that you get one bite at the apple. And just if you skip over to the 2 pages, you'll see there's some long-term liabilities. Currently, our long-term liability is about $11.8 million, or 12.6% of this year's budget. It's just in long-term liabilities. Typically, you would target 3% of your total budget being long-term liability. So we're above where we should be. And what happens is that squeezes money out that could be used for either capital or operating projects. So right now, that's putting a great squeeze on the town. This was a proposal. I skipped to the next page. You'll see there's a page with 2 blue boxes on it. Kevin and I, what we've been trying to do is if we find, as we're going along, there's these debts that we have that I don't want to call them small, but they're isolated debts. And one of them is the police construction fund. There's $870,000 that's sitting out there that we owe because money was taken for the acquisition of that property down on Farmington Avenue. It was never funded. Kevin and I, what we want to do is there's some school roof funds that are now finally gone through the audit. Between that and some surplus funds from this year, we would like to pay that off. We need to convince the Board of Finance to agree with us. We'd like to pay that off and clean up the books so that that's not sitting there. Try to clean up these odds and ends as we go forward. Another one is this year, the bond anticipation notes. We're looking at trying to clean those up and not issue any more for this year. We feel between the amount that's in the budget plus the surplus funds, we could knock out that $931,000. So we're trying to pay off liabilities without using new tax dollars. We're trying to just clean up the books on some of these old debts.
So we got $1.8 million to throw at it?
That's what we think we do, yeah. But we need approval. We have to have everybody's agreement that we will do this. What we're showing on the next page is your long-term liabilities, and just if the blue would be just if we did no further bonding at all. You will see the blue. What happens with the blue? You can see it goes out to. We stay above $4 million, even out to 2028, if we added no new debt to it. Kevin layered in some bonded projects there to give you some idea of how they impact the long-term bondings. And you see the red boxes there, and that's not even if we bond any other projects in as we go forward. So you can see the impact on that. And the last page of the debt part is this is your DB program. We are getting closer and closer to closing, but we aren't there. But we are funding $1.4 million this year for the DB. We feel that there are at least two. I talked to a person today. There may be three possibilities of retirement this year. I'm not sure that we have enough money to cover all three in the 1.4 to 1.5 million. But if two people go, we have the money to cover that. And with that, it's a good thing. We're actually happy about that because as each person goes, it's two less people it's another person that we don't have to fund, and eventually that account will close out. There's a discussion here about transfers. We actually hire a pension health administrator to $265,000. The $487,000 is where we're talking about band payments. That's what I talked about. We want to close out that one of those liabilities. We need to transfer that. This is the next one's the exciting one. Is the energy lease payment. The town approved an Noresco contract. Long term, it's going to cost the town $12 million. Currently, we're getting $60,000 in revenue from the solar panels, but we are getting some benefit from the street lights, which we've reduced our costs significantly there. We are just entering into an audit with Noresco on the remainder part of the project to see whether or not we're going to get those guaranteed savings. But this is a large nut for the town to handle, and it goes out for 20 years. So it's going to be a lot of money for the next 20 years paying for this. Business continuity each year. This is something that I think Kate, you pretty much manage this for the majority. It's how we keep our business afloat, and a lot of this is going in now. We are directing this toward virtual town hall, electronic media, electronic records. I had a conversation with the building department today. One of the things that they're looking at is the next couple of years getting all their records on electronic media, which will make it more accessible for residents, but it also makes it more secure for us. If you go into the building department, if you open one of their files, and these files are actually valuable to the town, and you'll see small pieces of paper and plot plans and things in there. If somebody was to lose one or fall out of there, you may go in looking in your file, and something that's valuable to you may not be there. So the goal is, and Frank, I think, along with the planning and zoning department, are going to be the first two departments to look at laser fees, and that's something that Kate's been working with them. I believe we have enough licenses already.
As far as Camden, we have no virtual files of those. Awful.
I gotta say that Jack's been great, and we've been trying hard to have that end of the building get in line with Laserfiche and do some kind of scanning, and because of changes in personnel and everything down there, there now is a huge buy-in.
Excellent.
And I think you probably remember a couple years ago, we had a flood hit the vault downstairs, and we did lose information, and that kind of hit home too.
Yeah.
When you want to talk about talking to wall, I'm a wall. It's hard to. It's kind of like, So we've come a long way.
The next one is school security. I did mention this briefly, I went through lots of fast on you. But as part of the budget this year, I said to you, on the town side, there's $539,000 that were there for school security. That's this money. There's a grant that the town, the Board of Ed had applied for. They've received the grant. We have to do certain projects. This one's going to primarily fund security cameras, bollards, phone integration at the school. So those are all, and we get 40% back on our dollar on each one of those projects. So it's something we want to do. I would encourage everybody, both the Board of Finance and the Town Council, to fund that $539,000 because we get 40% back on it. I'm not sure I would have worded the next one the way it is. Town manager removed, but it is what it is. Anyway, we did go through and we did remove some of the things as we went through our evaluation. And this year we said we can't afford to contribute to the revaluation fund or the conservation development. All that means is when those are required, we're going to have to fund them at a greater level. But this year, with already the mill rate, we've gone through this with I will say heavy scissors, and we're still at 2.72 mils. We're going to need a lot more work. I know that we're going to need a lot more work to get everybody's buy-in on this budget. The last thing is the capital, and this is where the heavy scissors came in. The original request was $5.4 million. The capital committee reduced $1.1 million. Town manager, along with the finance director, we removed another $3.5 million. Our focus is always, if you look at the town manager's report, there's a chart here that I draw your eyes to. I think Brendan picked up on this last year. This is what I use as priority all the time in everything, the decisions we make. It's based on public safety, financial strength, infrastructure, and education. When we make decisions, anything that's in this box gets funding first because we feel those are the primary responsibility of the town, and that's what we're using to prioritize when we do things. With that being said, we went through the capital. Now, we've listed everything in this eye chart for you, and I don't expect everybody to go through this. If it's in the top section above the yellow, those are the things that we left in. Again, we're open for discussion with the Town Council, Board of Finance. Maybe you would prefer to have something from the bottom be moved up and something on the top moved down. Or we'd be open to, if you want to add more to the top again, we'd be open to that. But we just gave it our first go around because we were concerned about the mill rate. And so this is what our first, but we are open for, and that's why we gave you everything. When you look on here, these were the requests. So if you think there's something we should exchange, we would be glad to exchange it. We did, subsequent to this being issued to you, we haven't been notified that we will be getting the LoCIP grant for this year. So in there, you will see a roof replacement for the garage at $120,000. We have a bid and everything for that. We are going to apply and get the LoCIP grant, and so that will, upon receipt of those funds, the roof replacement will come off of this list, because it'll be funded by LoCIP, and so the town won't have to fund that. We feel it's important to replace the roof at the garage that's leaking on our equipment and on the guys who are working on the vehicles, so. And we believe also the phones, we may be able to remove that too. So we may be able to remove those two items, so those are in red. You'll see them on the top part. That is a summary of what we talked about last night. Again, we meet again tomorrow night.
I appreciate that, and hopefully we can, keep, as we go through it, you could update us as we go, so we don't always have the benefit of getting to those meetings. If I can ask the council's indulgence, I just need a 5-minute recess. If I could just take a motion for 5 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. 5 minutes, I'll be right back, I'm sorry.
I know.
I didn't know. Start our meeting again. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. So, thank you, Jack, for that, and if we could just, we'll have some time now as the council to digest the budget and obviously let the Board of Finance do their job, and we can maybe talk about it at subsequent meetings before we get it, because we don't really have a lot of time when we get it, so probably have to kind of keep up on what's going on with it so we know what we're,
Again, my interpretation is it's 5 business days, not 5 calendar.
what business days.
So that would be the next,
Okay.
Essentially, you get it on a Tuesday, you get it
Till following Tuesday.
following Tuesday.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of time. Okay, thank you very much. Special committee reports. I think we had obviously our ordinance committee meeting. You kind of went over that, Jack. We have the notes here. If anybody has any questions, we'll reconvene, if we can reconvene at the end of March, and hopefully make some decisions on a couple things that we talked about. We had some good discussion, certainly on the dog issue, so make some type of decision there, and a couple of the others. Any others? Were there any other special committees? Did you guys play?
we had the field committee
okay.
meeting. We talked about that last time.
All right.
You guys mentioned you met with Speaker Osumwitz.
Oh,
You discussed
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
picking
sorry.
his brain
yeah,
about the
he said,
fields,
yeah.
turf
We
leg-
talked about the fields.
turf
He was
legislation.
he was confident that we should just go forward with Scalise Field, going with the artificial turf. I think it's myself, as I read all the information, one, anything would not be adopted prior to when we would do the project.
Right.
I think that it's gonna be a hard time for the legislature to go and say to all the local school districts and private schools, everything else, that you have to take out perfectly good fields, when I think a lot of the athletic fields are becoming artificial turf, particularly in light of this year's rain. I know my daughter plays field hockey. She had like 3 home games. All the rest they played down at one of the private schools on artificial turf because of the condition of the field. So many schools are going this way because of the condition of the field and the upkeep, the financial cost. The upkeep, it's cheaper for us to go and put an artificial turf field in and replace it every X number of years rather than have the upkeep of the grass field. As you see the football team over Berlin when in their practice field, it's always in tough shape. And they've gotten their life out of the artificial turf, so it's time for us to do it. And I think he indicated it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's good. So we got that answer from him. That was good.
There's a monument there somewhere in the middle of the practice field behind the high school where I blew up my knee on that awful field.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
It's an X marks the spot.
Yeah. Don't step there.
Okay, I think that right. That's all the special committee reports.
Mark, you said you met with Joe. I was wondering if you could summarize what.
That's what. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Well, we just all we really asked him was with the budget stuff. How much is the town going to lose? Which Jack told or gain or what.
With respect to the community center, I thought that there was.
Yeah. We discussed. Right. We just discussed that the language change was still, I think, in process. Now it's finished.
Actual.
Yeah.
He was at the point we were there, Mark.
Yep.
Actually, remember the attorney was sitting to my right.
Yeah.
And she said, "You've received that back."
It was back.
Came back and it had come.
Oh, he had come back. Okay.
And so we were good with that. We talked about the 750. He explained his rationale for how he came up with 750. It wasn't like it was detailed. He felt that the town needed adequate funding to do a complete study about, because there's been so much discussion over the years about having a community center and a senior center. So he felt that the funding, and he realized that it may be more than you need just for that part of the study, but it could also be used toward if land needed to be acquired, the due diligence there also. And we talked a little bit, just briefly, about, okay, let's say that we get past the design, the acquisition, all this kind of stuff. What about the funding going forward? We talked about some different ideas there. He thought that from the state perspective, obviously he can't commit to say you're going to get X number of dollars. He felt there was some, and Mark, tell me if you I think he was willing to commit and say there will be some additional funding from the state coming to help with the construction, but he obviously is not in a position to tell us how much.
No, we don't know how much. So it was just some general thought that we move forward, we get some conceptual plan that everyone is relatively happy with in the community. And obviously, the location, what the building really will be, what it will cost, and at least then we can, make an informed decision on which way to go. And if there's additional funding from the state, that's great, so. It's very preliminary, but we didn't get into any specifics because we don't really have any. And then what else? So it was a budget, it was that. What else did we have? Oh, the turf.
The turf
came
and
up.
it was just, and then we had conversation about, tolls and.
Oh, yeah, he
all the-
was
all the other
just telling
stuff
us
that
about
goes
where
on.
things are headed. I guess the tolls, apparently are, the 52 toll booths, I guess, are headed in the right or wrong direction, whichever you want. If you want them, they're coming. If you don't, then it's bad, but.
Yeah, we just talked about general things,
Yeah.
What was, Governor Lamont was as far as the legislature, it sounds like they all have different ideas again, but there was no specifics.
Too early in the session for anything, really, seems to be the case. But the money for Berlin so far looks pretty good.
From what we can
Lost
tell,
a little bit, but
we are in our budget, we're below what they're telling us we're gonna get. And Kevin and I both would prefer to be a little conservative side. Therefore, if they give us a little more money, that's better for us. If we don't feel at this point we should take and change our assumptions and go to the higher amount.
it also seems like conceptually, what you've read it in the paper, I think it's out there, so he just, nothing that it's not out there, it's just that. I think, there's gonna be, if the new governor and the legislature do what they're talking about doing, this regionalization thing is coming, because they understand that the towns can only tax so much, right? Property taxes is all we have, and they're, seems like they're concerned with the property taxes going up. They're pushing some things to the towns, but they realize that's not the solution because the towns are going to have to raise their property tax. So the regionalization seems to be the way to share some services, namely like the tax assessor, tax collector, doesn't really hurt anybody. And some others, that's sort of the idea with the regionalization, I guess, of the school districts is to save on the admin costs. That's really what they're talking about. They talk about closing schools and whatever town merges with whatever town, but it's the admin costs, dispatch centers. That's another thing that, we did have that discussion, which, he said that they're going to, look to do that with police departments, fire departments, different towns. You got, and he mentioned Los Angeles, and I worked out there, so we had a little talk. He said, you got Los Angeles County and Los Angeles City. They've got, I think, 2 dispatch centers for that huge metro area. Connecticut has 100 for our state. So, everyone's kind of looking like that doesn't make any sense, right? If you can combine some of those functions, that seems to be where their thought process is, many in the legislature and the governor's office. But again, we all know how hard that is to accomplish in New England and Connecticut, but that was sort of the discussion where it's going to move forward, because I think we're afraid, everything's going to get pushed down to the towns, and we got nowhere to go but raise property taxes, right? There's no other way to get revenue. So, but they're going to make some conditions where if we don't do, it sounds like, we don't do some things that they think make sense fiscally, then towns will lose some of their grants, I guess, if that's where they go at the end of the session. But just so it was all philosophical.
What's soured Connecticut, I believe,
Yeah.
is the old county system we used to have.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
at one time, the counties were pretty powerful. I mean,
Yeah.
they called a lot of shots in a lot of areas.
Right.
And that kind of...
When did that go away?
1960s.
60s it went
Yeah.
away, the county?
Because it was more of a duplication of effort
Oh,
than it
right.
was
They duplicate.
actual savings,
Right.
But I think it's coming. I don't think in all areas it's good, but I think there's some areas where we could benefit.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're going to proceed slowly and, with areas, like you said, that really people won't
Right.
be too upset about and will save us money.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, the state and the town, but you're right, it's difficult. I mean, that's what they do out west. The county government runs everything, but there's no duplicity of, it's the county.
Yeah. And it got to be
Probably another.
a job for some people, and
Another.
that isn't necessarily a positive.
Not saving
I'll
any
leave it
money.
there. Yeah.
Not saving any money that way,
I'll
right?
leave it there.
Extra jobs. So, I think we got a lot of tough times ahead, right, in Connecticut from what Joe mentioned, and I think we all know anyway. That was the sum total of what we talked about. No big decisions made, unfortunately. Nothing, just information. So, Councilor Communications, you guys have anything?
Oh, Maybe we should look at banning one-use plastic bags.
Yeah, we could look at that.
Yeah, that's a great
Yeah, I
idea.
think it's a good idea.
Other communities are doing it, and I'll tell you, I went to Stop and Shop and asked for paper bags. They looked at me like I had two heads.
They used to have them. I know they don't have them anymore, right?
And the clerk says, "Why do you want paper bags?" And I said, "Well, I want to make book covers for my
Oh,
books out of it."
Gosh.
Oh, yeah.
The old days.
Yeah.
The old days.
And she looked at me. She's ready to call, the loony bin, but
That's what we used them
But,
for.
yeah, that's right. But-
We did. Yeah.
but I asked for paper now, and because those things are a nuisance at best.
Clogging up
I
everywhere.
mean, they are everywhere.
Do you
Everywhere.
want
If you
to-
see,
Add it to
especially the oceans, it's really
Oh my God, the
a
ocean is
shame.
incredible. That island of plastic that's
Oh,
floating around.
awful.
Oh my God, how are we ever gonna get rid of
You
that?
want just plastic. I will tell you, it will, probably the next time. There was an interesting article in both the Hartford Courant and the Water Republican today, if you read it.
Yep.
About the cost, in this budget that we gave you, you're going from getting money back for recyclables to where you're paying for it
Right.
significantly, to the point where it's almost like, why we bother recycling? May as well do away with the blue bin, just throw everything in the green bin and throw it all away for incineration.
Let the machines do it.
Yeah. The question being, do you want us to look at what other towns are looking at, the bags, the straws, and things like that, or do you just want to start with the bags?
Well, I start with what we can. I mean, as much as we can is important, and hand in hand with that, I think we have to get the word out about recycling. My wife thinks I'm nuts. I go around and recycle every
Me too.
single thing I can in that recycling bin. My goal is to have that thing full every 2 weeks, because that's stuff we don't pay for.
We didn't. You're going, that's.
We're
Yeah,
going to,
well,
right?
but
Yeah.
on
Now
a,
we're paying.
on a less, a lot cheaper than the garbage.
It's gonna get to the point where
going the other
it's
way.
not gonna be that much cheaper.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that during the budget season. We're getting numbers on that. And that's why I would encourage you all to look at the paper today. It's either in the Hartford Courant or the Water Republican.
In the
Read it in the
Courant.
Hartford Current.
Right.
Yeah.
China's stopped.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
golden sword rule came through, and they basically cut the
Thing makes
cord.
money. And nobody wants the glass.
Yeah.
Nobody wants the plastic.
Remember as a kid, the glass, we always had
Aluminum's the
glass.
only thing.
We used to get the milk bottles, the glass.
Yeah.
Milkman's would.
Yeah. Recycle. There was recycling, right? They fill them again, deliver them to you.
Yeah, they would put them
I
back.
guess
and
China got upset and stopped buying it.
Well, they got upset because they were getting crap.
I think they had some other issues too,
Yeah,
right? Their
they
own
don't-
economy, right? They had
Yeah,
other
there was
issues
some-
too.
They were getting crap. And then the other part
Tariff issues, I guess.
Maybe.
What's happened before that? The other part of it is they were getting garbage from us. What we were doing is people were just throwing other stuff. The other part of it is their economy's picked up so much that they're generating enough recyclables themselves that they don't need ours anymore.
So speaking of that, though, whatever happened to that?
The pink bag.
Yeah,
I
whatever
have it
happened to
written
sta-
down here
Yes.
that I
Oh,
wanted to
good,
ask.
good, good. So
That was
we're
gonna
all
be my
thinking about it.
question. Yeah.
Talking about where's the pink bags?
I'll call her again. That's she's down. Once we had the hurricane,
Yeah.
because she lives in Murrells Inlet,
Okay.
North Carolina. We lost touch. I think she said she was going to be back up here shortly. When she comes back up, we'll finalize that because she and I talked about. We had several emails and it just stopped.
Because that would
Her name was
save,
Kristen Brown.
right? The
Yeah.
trash that
The
we're
rags and the
putting in there.
material.
Yeah.
I'll see if that's impacted by this too. If you remember the business model for that is that there's an entrepreneur, a young
Right.
man who was using this. I will contact her again and follow up on that. She lived in Merrill's Inlet, and that was where there was a direct hit with the hurricane. So.
We might look at going in more than one stream. We actually don't produce enough cardboard for our own needs for recycling.
Mm.
But the plastic and cans, we make too much, so we might have to ask our citizens to pull the cardboard out or something
Oh.
to make it work.
We'll get some information. Should that come? Do you want to come back to the council or just to the ordinance committee?
I mean,
Either one.
Either one, just so we
Put it on the
start.
calendar for the 28th.
Whoever meets first, yeah.
Yeah, we could start it.
I had a couple things for today. In the ordinance committee, we were talking about our signs. I happened to be in Weathersfield Town Hall today, and they had a very simple ordinance taped to the counter when you walked up to the building department. It was like 4 lines, real easy to understand. Basically, nothing in our right-of-ways, anything near a sidewalk had to be at least 1 foot behind it, and subject to a fine if you were violating it. Real simple to understand. If we could look at the ordinance, it'd be great.
Okay.
And my other question was, might be a little bit of a stretch, but we didn't fund the study of the police station space last week.
No, we didn't.
we're gonna get this grant for the senior center. Is there any way we could allocate any of that? Because we're gonna study usage of all the town hall square footage. And would that be part of our consideration when we form our senior center plan?
Can use money that's booked for two things. Can't use it.
Can't use that grant.
Too big a stretch?
Huge stretch.
It's worth a shot.
We are looking, but as I think if you look through the budget document, we're running out of areas to go and find funds for these things, so.
Sometimes it's all in a presentation.
We'll work on it.
Anybody else? Comments? What do you got? Nothing? Okay. Acceptance of minutes, February 19th. Motion on that.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the February 19th, 2019 Town Council meeting minutes.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Thank you. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. And so now we need to move into our executive session. Motion to move in.
Okay, motion to move into executive session for personnel matters, Connecticut General State Statute, Section 1-200, 6 Part A, concerning appointment, employment, performance evaluation of a public employee, Mr. Jack Healy.
Second on that?
Second.
Thanks.